Right before you're about to walk out to a fight, you're lined up in the tunnel, you hear the crowd screaming, and I try to just tunnel it all out. My mindset was, you know, I find out about this fight 2-3 months out, I think about this guy every day, train from every day. I don't want to wait any longer.
A fighter is more than someone who just competes in the octagon. They have to be sprinters, powerlifters,
another level of fighting.
My gosh.
gymnasts, and chess players all at once.
Frankie Edgar gets the late finish!
Mixed martial arts is the closest thing to a real fight.
They're incredibly well-rounded athletes.
My name's Frankie Edgar, and I'm from Toms River, New Jersey. I was inducted to the UFC Hall of Fame in 2024. I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu. You know, I've wrestled my whole life, trained in Muay Thai as well. Even as a young kid, I would get in little scraps in the neighborhood and stuff like that. I opened up my own academy here at Iron Army Academy here in Toms River. Still training fighters, still on the mats every day.
Man, what great hands.
Boxing is one of the most primal sports, been around forever. It's natural for us. It's just our arms. You don't have to worry about anything else. It's you know, called the sweet science for a reason. All right, guys, our jab is usually our fastest punch because it's our lead hand. It has to travel the shortest distance, and I'm not putting a lot of power on it. I don't have to load it. The jab is the very first punch taught in boxing because it's your lead hand. You're going to use it for offense, defense. You're going to use it high, you're going to use it low. The jab is universal for everybody.
A quick or fast jab is really what makes it effective.
Right from the face, right out, extend, super quick. Doesn't have to be super powerful, but definitely rigid.
Clenching the fist at the last moment before impact helps to prevent any injuries. It also makes the maximum amount of energy at the point of contact onto the opponent.
The more relaxed you are, everything kind of just flows much quicker.
A cross, or a punch from the backhand, is a power punch.
A cross is more powerful a jab because it's your backhand and you're rotating your hips all the way through. So when you rotate on a right hand, you're hitting with your hip, your legs, your shoulder, your back, and your hand.
In any sport, such as golf, baseball, or fighting, the power comes from the lower body. And in fact, fighters will say he sat down on one, and that's because they're getting their lower body so involved, they're lowering themselves as they strike with a cross.
Starting at the ground up, all of the muscles are engaged, and then the energy twists all the way up through the core muscles into the arm and really delivers maximal power to the blow from the fist.
Nice knee, beautiful.
They call Muay Thai the art of 8 limbs because of the tools that you have as resources. So you can use both hands, both feet, both elbows, and both knees. So that's a lot of weapons. Elbow strikes are effective in all aspects of the game, but specifically in the clinch. You're close enough to land that elbow. Sometimes when you're far away, you gotta lunge in to get that elbow, and that's a little dangerous. But when you're in the clinch, it's readily available.
Often the opponent will try to glance it off the side of the opponent's head or forehead in a slicing manner, and that's because the olecranon, or the tip of the elbow, is subcutaneous. There's no muscle over it. There's just a tiny bit of skin, so it's almost like getting hit with a bat.
Now, I can throw a powerful elbow, palm towards me, really, or I can throw a nice palm away from me, nick him with my elbow here. Down elbows, like 12 to 6 elbows, over the top, coming from under. A lot of different ways to get it done.
In Muay Thai, elbow strikes are notorious for cutting the skin or causing lacerations. And this is because there's quite a bit of power in the elbow, and when it hits the skin, it causes a lot of force in one area that can just rip the skin right open.
When boxing, you have padded gloves. In Muay Thai, you're hitting people with bony elbows and bony shins and bony knees, so yeah, the cuts happen a little bit more often.
Wow, what a powerful takedown.
Wrestling in MMA is probably the grittiest and toughest discipline to constantly do. Constantly go for takedowns is hard on your neck, hard on your back, hard on your conditioning.
Wrestling is so demanding on the cardiovascular system because you're using literally every muscle in your body to accomplish a task or resist your opponent, and it's exhausting.
Chin wrestling is just going from one attack to another, whether you're attacking the legs to coming up to an underhook, then to maybe a snap down.
Stringing together multiple different takedown attempts is something that becomes instinctive after training repeatedly. And fighters don't even have to think about the next move. It just becomes a reaction.
Yeah, the repetition when it comes to chain wrestling is what enables you to master the technique. When you have the technique, when you rep it all the time, over and over, when it comes up in chain wrestling, you know exactly how to react in the right time. So I snap him down, I snap you down, boom. Boom. Then I go to here, now he comes up. Then I come to this. You know what I mean?
Controlling an opponent on the mat often requires quite a bit of lat strength, and this is because the lat is really the junction between the upper arms and the lower back and the core muscles, and really helps the fighter to bridge those two muscle groups and maintain their grip and hold.
I think the ultimate goal of a wrestler is control, complete control in wearing your opponent down. Once you wear him down, you control and put him in any position you want.
Looking for a guillotine, look at this.
BJJ is called the gentle art because, I mean, it was really created for the smaller fighter. I think people compare jiu-jitsu specifically to the game of chess because there's so many different possibilities in jiu-jitsu. It's a thinking man's game. The ultimate goal of jiu-jitsu is to submit someone, make them quit, and you get your hand raised.
Yep. Look at what's happening here. Look what's happening here.
When applying an effective arm bar, pelvis is tilted upwards and the pelvic muscles as well as glute muscles all contract significantly. And what this does is it adds a fulcrum and a lot of pressure underneath the elbow, effectively pulling the elbow to the point where if it's held long enough, the elbow will eventually dislocate.
I find his thumb. Make sure his thumb is pointing to the ceiling. That means his elbow's on this side. So the fulcrum, what I do is put a little pressure, get the tap. If his thumb is pointed this way, now the fulcrum's here on my leg, I pull this way to get the tap. All right, so the thumb direction is important.
Controlling the position of the elbow through forearm rotation and thumb position is critical to minimize the opportunity for the opponent to escape. Some people's joints are more flexible than others, and that can come in handy if you're trapped in an armbar because you may be able to have the flexibility to tolerate your elbow being bent in an unnatural position without tapping. And we've seen some athletes being caught in some bad arm bars and not tap, and they're likely a little more flexible than others and probably maybe also a little tougher.
There it is. I mean, that is not the way your arm's supposed to bend.
There are many traits that are required to be a successful mixed martial artist. The skill, the talent, the endurance, the mental fortitude to fight through adversity. But there's no question that the mental approach is everything.
Preparing for a fight can lead to a pretty significant psychological toll. The fighters are somewhat in isolation training, heavily focused on one night, 3 to 5 rounds, and they're training at this for months and months ahead of time, and everything else gets put off to the side.
Fighting, I don't think is a physical thing. It's more of a mental thing.
UFC fighters are able to compete with injuries that would keep most of us out of work for a month or two.
You could learn to be a martial artist. You could learn to be an athlete. Well, you're pretty much born a fighter.